All right, so I was just in Adams County for most of the day, and I'm now back home, but we'll be turning around momentarily to get back to Mount Orab. So in Adams County, they had a commissioner meeting today where data centers was a hot topic, and it was very interesting. I got to reconnect with Kelly Jones and talk. He actually talked to me some after refusing to talk to me at first. But Adams County's all hot on this topic, but we know the epicenter right now, this is Mount Orab, and today's meeting is at 7 o'clock on February 17th. There's a 7 o'clock meeting at the Mount Orab town hall. And I wanted to put up here what I think some of the big things going on are. You should all be aware of this. I'm not trying to, I'm probably being redundant with other people, but we are at the second reading of three specific measures by Eric Lang. And then there is a fourth measure by Eric Lang that is going to be introduced tonight, to my understanding. The first one, though, that is on a second reading, because they're doing what you're supposed to do in America, is have three readings so that you can engage with the citizens because you're not a dictator. So the first one is an ordinance placing a temporary zoning code moratorium for 180 days on the granting or issue of any new permits, blah, 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 for data centers. Okay, so that's be the second reading for that one. And I've only got the first page of each of them here. Second reading for this one, an ordinance amending certain sections of the Village of Mount Orab zoning code to put a permanent ban on commercial nuclear energy facilities, including but not limited to small modular reactors. Okay, so that's the second thing. That's on a second reading. Third thing on a second reading is an ordinance placing a temporary zoning moratorium on the granting or issuing of any new permits or applications for small modular nuclear reactors within the village of Mount Orab, the corporate limits of the village of Mount Orab. So that's the third one. It's on second reading. Now, what's the new thing? So the new thing is an ordinance rescinding the zoning code, which I wouldn't even really call it rescinding because it was never properly passed because Rick Getke, is that his name? Rick Getke, the solicitor, I guess, doesn't know how to run a government meeting, even though they're paying for a lawyer to run a government meeting. And so it was originally passed without a correct readings, without a correct citation of why it needed to be passed as an emergency. And so this is another ordinance that is going to be, to my understanding, putting forward by Eric Lang, and it will be a first reading of an ordinance to rescind and repeal the emergency zoning ordinance 1309. So that's the third thing. And why is this an issue? Because the zoning ordinance on which these data centers are based was illegally and improperly passed. Of course, it's government, so they can never admit they fucked up. They won't admit that. It's going to be your fault somehow, and F you, okay? And so, but that's what's going to come up this time. And do we have a history in Mount Orab of such a thing? Yes, because we have my case filed on February 6th. We're just not that long ago in a meeting. Rick Getke effed up everything about it. Messed up going into executive session twice. And so, you know, I'm a strong believer that we need to pay a lot more attention to government and the issues here. I hope people get and understand what I keep saying. The issues are not data centers per se. That's a symptom of the disease of government that is out of touch, unaccountable, and where people like Rick Getke F things up left, right, and center, and we'll never. I'd love to hear Rick Getke tonight. Stand up. Rick, I want to see you stand up, face the crowd, and apologize to them. Apologize. Admit that you did not do the zoning code properly back when you slid it through when nobody was watching, that was wrong to do that, and you also did not do it properly. Okay? Make it unnecessary, Rick Getke and Mayor Hauser. Make it unnecessary that Councilman Lang or anybody else has to have these ordinances, you know, like this new one, admit you screwed up. Okay, that's what, hey, I got a friend that tells me all the time that when you make a mistake, you should ask for forgiveness and be honest about it. And you know who that friend is? Jesus. Okay, Jesus tells me that. And Rick Getke, Mayor Hauser, other council members, maybe you need to pay attention to a little bit of that stuff you hear in church. So the meeting is 7 o'clock tonight on the 17th in Mount Orab. And I have, by the way, it's kind of messed up. I have these watchdog magnets. Okay. They look like buttons, but they're magnets. They were supposed to be wearable magnets. Okay. But they're just magnets. Okay. So if you come to the meeting tonight and you want one of these, just ask me. You got to ask me. I'm not going to just be handing them out. But if somebody asks me for one of them, I'll give you one of these watchdog magnets because I'm getting new ones. Because I guess these are going to be free because of the wrong thing. And I'm getting new ones that will be magnet wearable watchdog things. All right. So that's tonight at the Village of Mount Orab. Meeting tonight, 3 things on a second reading and 1 thing on a first reading. My understanding also is that they're further restricting public participation to only 6 people, but it should be good weather tonight to hang out around there and just remind them that the citizens aren't going to forget about it and do not burn yourselves out. You know, got to stay focused. All right.